Okay, you build rods, obviously you don't sell reels, but you must know a lot about reels. A person comes to you and they say, Doug, I'm going to buy my first FishNFX rod custom. What's the perfect reel for it? Are you guys able to guide them in the direction of what's the perfect reel matchup for your rods?
Absolutely.
Hello and welcome to episode number 84 of the NJ Multi-Species Podcast. I am your host, Joe Santiago. As always, my partner, Chris Pereira.
You still hungover?
Nah, I'm all right now. A little hungover and groggy from the Christmas party. Christmas party was awesome. We're not going to talk much about it because we plan on doing a holiday special episode, and we'll talk about it then. Tonight's guest is FishNFX Rods. Doug Roberts, FishNFX Rods. Really, really nice high-end rods. We're going to talk to him in a little while. Have some fishing reports. The black fishing seems to be getting better in the north. The northern boats are finally starting to kind of catch up with the southern boats. Looking out to go offshore sea bass fishing is starting up. That seems to be pretty good, too. Chris, I don't know if you got anything else really for saltwater. We're supposed to go Wednesday on the Fishing Fever, black fishing out of Cape May, but we don't know if that's going to happen or not yet.
I mean, the weather looks fine to me. I don't know.
Well, if the weather looks fine, then hopefully we're going. So hopefully we'll have a black fishing report from Cape May. But yeah, the Fishmonger and some of the other northern boats starting to do better on them. Better numbers, better sizes. Obviously, I guess if the weather gets colder, water gets colder.
Yeah, Jerry called it. I mean, what did he say, December 10th?
He did say the 10th. Yeah.
2 days off, but yeah, of course, I don't have any more trips booked on northern boats. All the rest of my trips are down south, but I still think you still have a better chance of getting a really big one down there, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And hopefully we're going to. All right, so freshwater-wise, Yellow Dog Paddle said the fishing kind of slowed a little bit at Round Valley, mostly rainbows, Lakers, and still big perch. The Delaware River is producing decent numbers of walleye trips right now. If you're calling him, he's recommending the walleye trips over the trolling trips on Round Valley right now. But yeah,
change day to day too. So I mean, I would just give him a call and check in.
Yeah, I would too. His report, I'm reading all through this. It's pretty cool. He has 12 categories of species caught this year. And he's gonna.
This time of the year is pretty.
He's gonna do kind of like, he's gonna do like a Christmas post, like the 12 days of Christmas, but he's gonna do the 12 like good catches of Christmas, I guess, and he's gonna post one per day for the next 12 days.
That's cool. We should all of that.
We should. We should, but he's going to start tomorrow, and this don't come out till Friday, so he beat us to it. We could edit this out, though, to make it look like he stole our idea. Yellow Dog Paddle, if you're looking to go fishing, he is recommending the Delaware River jigging bite right now, currently over the Round Valley trips, but the Round Valley trips are still going, and he's still catching. What he considers not good is still pretty decent, with the yellow perch, rainbows, and lake trout. So, yeah, call Mike Herman, Yellow Dog Paddle today. As far as Eddie Mackin goes, I'm pretty sure Eddie Mackin may be done. I would have to confirm it if you really want a trip with Eddie Mackin, you could call his phone number, but I think he may be done for the season. But he is.
I saw Lake Opakon, like the coves and stuff, froze over pretty good. They like flash froze that one night, probably Friday night or Saturday night.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to him because he's been busy, but I'm guessing that he's probably done. But he is booking for next year, and he usually gives the people that book like first a deal. So if you want to book a fishing trip with Mackin, Mackin's Rip and Lips fishing trips for next year, you'll probably get a good deal on it if you book it early in the off season.
Got someone that's new to fishing too, or like just started or wants to learn, like just fish from shore a couple times, wants to learn how to fish from a boat. It's totally different. It opens up a whole new world. Think about getting them like he'll do like, and Yellow Dog Paddle too. They do gift cards towards a trip or whatever. Give it as a gift to someone who's just trying to get into that.
It is I've never gotten that like in my whole life, a gift card for that, but it is cool. Like if my wife is watching this, like if I open up a card and it has a gift card to the Fishmonger or the Gambler or the Mimi or something, like a free pass for the day, like that's cool. That's a cool gift. If you want to.
Your wife ain't watching this.
Probably not. No one watches this, I don't think. I'm talking to myself. It's basically just Deuce listening to us in the background. But yeah, we don't want to talk. The Christmas party was amazing. The only downfall of the Christmas party, really, for me, was not having Chris Lido there. Everyone else was there. Kind of a bummer to not have Lido there, but to get the news that his surgery went well and he was getting to leave the hospital was great, and pretty much solidified the plans of the second Mayhem on the Gambler coming this spring, which is awesome. But like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about the Christmas party because we are going to do a holiday special, and we're going to have a couple people on, and then we'll really just get into the Christmas party. But I think our guest is about ready to come in. Okay, so we finally have our guest in, Doug Roberts from FishNFX Rods. Been custom rod building for about 15 years. FishNFX Rods for about 10. 40 years fishing experience in the tri-state area. Doug Roberts, welcome to the NJ Multi-Species Podcast. We're glad to have you on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, hey, anybody at Jen Wong is a buddy of ours. I mean, Jen's the best.
That guy is like a master at his craft. I mean, the way he gets on them and consistently, I mean, any day of the week, he's going to be out there and he's going to be pulling them in.
Yeah, he's awesome. I mean, he really, I don't know about Joe, but he like, so the first time I fished with him, he had the lip glue, and I had heard of it obviously because I've been friends with him for a while. And he had the lip glue. We're fishing, and he's like, you put some lip glue on. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I got this lure here. He starts catching fish, and I'm just like, all right, give me some lip glue. Now,
it's hard to turn it down when it works so well, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not stupid, but so when he started using your rods, and he would tell us about your rods and stuff. So when he talks about something, how well it works, we take it pretty seriously. So we definitely have you on the show here.
Yeah, that's why I was saying finally, because we've been hearing about you for so long. Jen Wong constantly, FishNFX. Then every time I get a video of him, can you get my FishNFX in the video? Get it on, get it in there. Can you get it in? Can you tag him? I'm like, it's always FishNFX with him. So, I mean, where do we start? Take me all the way back to the beginning. You're a custom rod builder. You're making your own stuff, and all of a sudden you get the idea for FishNFX. How does it come? Where does it come from?
Yeah, so I had a nickname growing up, which was Fresh NFX, and I was just so into fishing. I'm like, you know what? That's what I'm going to call my company, is FishNFX, and that way it was kind of just consistent with me growing up. But yeah, started fishing before I can ever remember. It was before I was 2, and my grandfather really got me into it and had me pouring lead weights and stuff at like the age of 6. I was pouring lead jigs at 8. He had me tying flies and taking lessons to do it at like 10. And, I just have always been big into it and just love the passion of not just the fishing itself, but the making of the tackle and the preparation of the trip. For me, I got so much joy like the night before going fishing when, you'd be like hanging out with your grandfather, stripping the old line off, putting the new line on, making sure the hooks were sharp, and just getting everything plotted out, where you're going to fish, what you're going to throw. And I realized like what a great bonding experience that was and how much love I had for it. And as much as I love fishing, which I love it, when you're a little kid, you're out in the boat and it's like, okay, quiet, quiet. Whereas the night before, you can actually, talk back and forth. Whereas day of, it's like you just sit there quiet.
Yeah. It's almost like, yeah, I get what you're saying. It's almost like the preparation for it was more of, like you said, like a bonding experience that you were able to do. When you're actually fishing, your grandfather probably so serious about trying to catch a fish. Like we've all been there. Sometimes I turn into a complete douchebag when we're fishing. I mean, yeah,
but still a great time. And it's a whole different experience because then you're focused on what you need to be when you're on the water, and you can really pay attention to that environment. But it's just
So
cool how you have that balance between them.
when you finally decide to make the move now, you start fishing FX, you're going to start selling these rods pretty much. It's going to be your business. Out of 80 million different rods that you could make, how do you know which one you're going to start with?
Well, so yeah, I started building about 15 years ago. Basically, it was just getting over that mental hurdle of the fact that I could do it.
I mean,
And
let me ask it this way. Maybe this is an easier way to say my question. If you're selling, like you're gonna start building rods and selling them, right? Like obviously every blank has a power. That's what everyone searches for. What's the most popular one? Is it a medium light? Is it a medium? Is it like what's the
I would say basically like a fast, medium, heavy is kind of
really?
what so many people just kind of lean towards, or medium fast, medium heavy. And I think it's funny because people tend to want that like kind of faster, heavier action when they test it out in the store, when they see it on paper. But then a lot of times I will get like a moderate into somebody's hands and they start fishing and they're like, wow, this is amazing. What is this? And I'm like, this is the one I've been trying to push towards you for the longest time, but you didn't like how it was worded on the paper, you know?
you know what? I've started leaning towards that moderate for a lot of different things, and I think people take out of consideration the fact that, like, people don't want to spend a lot of money to buy a lot of different rods, so they try to buy one that can do a lot of different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But sometimes there's just certain things that you start realizing you'd be so much better off with that moderate tip. Like the best example I could think of is if we like to jig lake trout, and when you're jigging the lake trout, sometimes you gotta burn that jig so fast to get them to hit it, that if your rod's too fast of an action, when they hit it, when you're burning it that fast, it almost just rips it right out of their mouth,
Yeah.
especially if it's reacting quickly. If you've got the moderate action, it's more forgiving when they hit it. It won't rip it out of their mouth. That's the best example I could think of, and that was when I started using moderate action rods for stuff like that.
I feel like too, a lot of times it eases up the tune of them, like so that
Yeah,
the jig isn't hitting as tight and lets it kind of do its thing a little softer. So it gets that presentation that the fish sometimes are looking for. And other times it could be the exact opposite and you want to tighten it up. But, you know,
well, Now that you mention it, I didn't even delve that deep into it. So if I had two of the exact same lure, like I have a lure that I know works a lot, like real well on a place for lake trout, and I've got one on a moderate action and one on a fast action, I'm going to get two different, slightly different swimming actions out of that same jig just by reeling it, just based off of the speed of the rod, the action of the rod,
Yeah,
right?
and I mean, and a lot of times it's going to be very slight differences, but when you think about the sound, the electrical patterns that they're picking up on their lateral lines, and just all the stuff going on, a lot of times those little differences make a big difference.
Oh yeah, dude, I've seen. I had this one buddy who like had this chartreuse marker, and we'd be fishing some, be trying different colors and stuff, and he'd just be like, "Well, let me try this." And he'd put like a little dot of like chartreuse on his thing and start out fishing me like 3 to 1.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Really?
On our honeymoon, we went deep sea fishing, and it was just one of those things where you got 50 people against a rail jigging mackerel rigs. You know what I mean? And nobody was really catching anything. And they gave us tuna fish sandwiches for lunch. And I grabbed a bunch of tuna off my sandwich and just pinched it in my hand and started straightening my flies with it. Start bringing them up 3 and 4 at a time. Everybody's like, "What's going on?" I'm the only one on the boat catching it. And so I was having a blast for a while. And then this kid next to me is like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Here, let me just, your fly looks weird. Let me straighten your fly for you quick." So I straightened his. Next thing he's like on him. Towards the end of the day, I let everybody know, but I wanted to catch a few first.
Who the hell is eating a tuna fish sandwich that a charter boat gives you?
Yeah, that don't sound like a
I
great
wasn't
idea.
eating it. I just.
It's just bait, really. Now, I always want to ask this question because it's something we always go back and forth with. When the reel's on a rod, conventional or a baitcaster, which side does the handle go on?
I think it comes down to preference. I feel that bait
Oh,
casters originally were all on the right hand side just because of the gearing of it,
yes.
and the fact that conventional was already like that. And I've noticed a bit of a trend generationally that I feel like the younger people having that option and having started with the left hand retrieve with a spinner then automatically migrate to that with the bait caster, whereas the older generation tends to still prefer the right hand retrieve. And I mean, it's a mixed bag between them all, and with lefties and righties. I personally fish ambidextric, and I'll use either because growing up, I used to split wood and trade it to the local bait shop for tackle, and I would get whatever they had on sale. So a lot of times they would be having left hand reels or right hand reels, and I used to switch hands, and then I got used to just not switching hands so that it was a little easier. And then for a while, I was using two rods at once. I got a bunch of those Daiwa Team Vientos with the twitching bars, and I would just bring them in
The
and
two
go out.
rod tango.
Yeah.
And what's actually your favorite like target? Like what's your favorite species?
I have so many. Bass is an easy one because, and I don't mean easy, but like just locationally, you can come across it pretty much anywhere in the U.S. You
Yeah.
can find a bass. So being in Pennsylvania, I'm not hitting the salt nearly as much as I used to, but used to like going for stripers and kayaks and getting a little sleigh ride. Um,
Yeah.
but I've been getting into snook down in Florida quite a bit, and I like mixing it up. And I really like going with other people who have a passion for certain fish, because then they can help convey that. For the longest time, I was big into pike, being in Connecticut and fishing the river. I love targeting the pike, especially in the fall when you get the fog coming off the water and you can start working that top water and they just attack it with nothing but rage. There's no hunger in their stomach. They are just mad at life and want to kill that thing. And as soon as they break that water, you get that like little heart attack, which is like just enough for you to bring that rod tip down so they can actually get it in their mouth before you set the hook. And that's like one of my favorite bites is a pike top water. But I like mixing it up, and especially if I'm going with somebody who, like, if they go for catfish and they're passionate about catfish, it's like tell me everything you know about catfish. If somebody's going for something else, it's like, lay it on me. I want to learn.
So you sound like just like us. I mean, because I'll fish around. We'll go bluegill fishing,
Yeah.
and we'll go tuna. Well, I don't know if Joe will go tuna fishing. He's still thinking about the whole offshore thing. But like, I'll go tuna fishing one day. I'll go bluegill fishing the next day. I don't care. And just like you said, like we love having friends that are specifically love certain species because there's not like I don't have enough time to be a master pro at every species that swims, but I want to fish for all of them. So I love fishing with I feel you on that. When you go out with someone who you spends most of their time specifically targeting certain species or two, they just the wealth of information they have, and if as long as you just absorb it and like that's the best way to learn and to go fishing and stuff. Yeah.
People are often surprised because I'll go out with people and I'll be on their boat, and you would think I was an idiot because I just started asking like questions, tons of questions, as if like I didn't know anything. And it's not me trying to be rude or anything like that. And it's not that I'm stupid. It's that I know they're going to know something I don't know. And I'm not sure what it is yet, but I'm going to find out and I'm going to try and pick it up and learn something. And, I've yet to meet someone I couldn't learn something off of.
Oh yeah. And the opposite's also true. Like if I'm fishing for something, if I'm on my boat and I invite someone to come with me, something that I do a lot of and that I'm pretty skilled at, and they come on and they they want to try something weird.
Yeah.
I always let them. I never go, you got to do it this. I let them do it because every once in a while, whatever weird crap they try works.
We were down in Florida targeting peacock bass, and we were just fishing from the shore. But this guy was going by, and we started talking. And we were like, "Hey, you a charter guy? I see you got nobody on your boat. There's 3 of us standing on the bank. What are you doing today?" And he's like, "Actually, I was just going to pre-fish for a charter I have tomorrow. You guys want to come?" We talked out a price, gave him some gas money, hopped on his boat, had a great time. But he was adamant, like, you have to use these lures. These are the only lures that are going to work, And we caught a bunch of them and we were doing good. And we're like, "Hey, man, not for nothing, but we got like, 50 other lures in our pockets too. Let's mix it up a bit." So, my friend pulled out like a mega bass jerk bait with bright colors. It was a limited edition. The guy's like, "Oh, I don't know if that's going to work." And my friend's like, "Oh, I'll take a couple of casts," tosses it out there. Boom. Like 5.5 pound peacock. And for Miami area, that's a good size. It's not like we're down in Brazil catching those monsters. And we ended up catching like 2 to 1 on that lure compared to the others, and started mixing it up with a bunch of others. But it's like, see, it's okay to try new stuff, And the biggest thing too to remember is fish are fish. I get there's all these different species, and yes, they all have these different niches that they have specifically, like, walleye's bright colors, peacock's bright colors, such and such. You go a little darker, a little slower, a little faster for certain fish, But at the end of the day, a fish is a fish, and certain stuff is going to work just kind of across the board.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Hey, let me ask you this, right? So, like Joe was kind of alluding to, he wanted to know, like, what was that? I thought he wanted to ask you what was kind of like the first type of rod that you made. So
That's kind of what I wanted to know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the first rod I built was a pike rod for my grandfather. And being on a tight budget at the time, I built the rod. And then before putting finish on it, I cut all the guides off and built it again. And I built that rod like 4 or 5 times before I finally put finish on it. So I could just get that practice of wrapping the guides and everything in.
I thought you just didn't like what you were seeing. You wanted to like perfect it.
Well, I mean, it improved every time, but it was also just because, the cost for the thread is like a couple of bucks, but the cost for the rod parts was like 150. So I might as well, get that practice in now while I'm doing it, and, really get it nice. And after that, I built a bass rod. And then my grandfather, he really likes pan fishing, so I made some like really nice ultralight panfish rods. Um,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
Well,
and the nice thing about the custom stuff is you can dial it into exactly what you're looking for, you know. So the length, the action. Um, with the FishNFX Gold series that I have, I tried to basically come up with like
Cool.
7 different models that kind of encompass an all around area where it's like you can use that one rod for like 10 different applications, and you can do that for like pretty much every rod in that series. And that way I didn't have to go nuts with, 100 different models right out of the gate, but really
So,
dial it in for what people would use most.
so if someone, so I don't know if you do both of what I'm about to ask or one or the other, but if someone calls you and wants to build a custom rod from scratch to their specific, uh, details, do you do that? And also you have this lineup of custom style rods, but they're built as direct. Do you do both?
Yeah, so what happened is I was doing custom rods for the longest time, and they were getting fairly popular and it was starting to take off. And I also wanted to be able to offer them in a lower price range, because for the amount of time I end up putting into a custom, a sticker's got to kind of come along with that. And I was trying to get to a point where I could offer people like a rod that I felt good enough putting my name on and getting it to them at a price that was affordable, which is, a broad term, but I'm trying to offer $500 rods in a $300 price range so that people who are really wanting that custom rod performance, but not needing all the like frills with it, can do so. So I kind of stripped away the superfluous and just kept it, performance driven. So, I went with like EVA grips, compressed carbon, reel seat, and then I went with the microwave tackle, uh, the microwave guide from American Tackle, which
Yeah.
has nanolite rings with nanoplasma coating. So they're actually like incredibly hard and very low friction coefficient. So it tames the line's harmonics while you cast and eliminates the friction going down the guide train. It's just a really amazing product. They've actually won more awards in the fishing industry than anything else. But that way, it's just a nice, simple EVA grip for durability instead of going nuts with like my hardwood, olive wood handles and
that's so
abalone
see that
inlays and
shit.
stuff, where
Uh,
it adds a bit more to it.
that's so cool. It's almost like knife handle. It's like they're like custom
Yeah,
knife handles on a fishing rod. But that's the abalones. How do you say that?
yeah, abalone.
And yeah, it makes beautiful knives. I didn't even know you could get that on a fishing rod. I don't
Yeah,
want to
so I
even
do
know
that
how
in like
much
mother of
that costs.
pearl, and I actually have a kind of unique process on how I do it. There's been a lot of rod builders wanting me to spill the beans, but
That handle probably the handle of that rod right there probably costs more than 5 rods that I have just for that handle.
it
Yeah.
does add a bit of price. But I have a lot of people,
It's beautiful
really
though.
want it. The one guy sent me some olive wood from Italy, where he was stationed, and sent me some abalone from Korea, where he was stationed. So I was able to put that abalone and that olive wood into his handle, and that was his rod.
That's real so
Those were
cool.
shells from his dinner. That was a branch from the tree where he was at. And it has that whole different meaning to it than just
Yeah.
a regular handle. But at the same time, I fish them. I fish those beautiful rods just like I would an EVA one. But a lot of people kind of want that wedding present, birthday present, that maybe you use every now and then, but kind of also sits on the mantle.
Yeah, that rod would be on my wall and never be taken outside.
Oh, you wouldn't use it? You'd
That
have to.
one that he just showed?
You have to use it.
No, no way.
I could never hang that on the wall. Are you crazy?
Whatever.
I mean, I try to be very, very careful with it.
Maybe I'll take it out once in a while, but once I get back home, it goes back on the wall again.
Yeah, Doug, before you came on, Joe was talking about how cool it would be if his wife got him a Christmas gift for like a voucher to go on a fishing trip.
Yeah.
I think he's going to cancel that Christmas present order and getting the custom rod.
You guys do gift certificates?
I have gift certificates on the website. Yep.
What is your website? Let's plug all that while we
just
can.
FishNFX.com.
FishNFX.com.
Might be easier to see it on there, but
Yeah.
it keeps blurring on me.
And for the people on the Spotify that aren't watching it, FishNFX.com.
Yep.
And that's also to look you up on your social medias. Is that your tags?
Yep. That's on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And I'm kind of old, so Facebook is the easiest one for me. But we got them all.
Yeah.
I like to spend my time fishing.
A couple years older than us. We're in the same, we kind of hate social media, but at the same time, obviously we need it to do stuff like this. You obviously need it to you need it to run a business these days. You just can't get around it.
You have to. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I can't even say I hate it. I do love it, but at the same time, I feel like I'm in the slow lane.
Yeah, but you know what? I feel like a lot of the guys that like invested a lot of money into TV are now in the slow lane.
Yeah.
And the ones that got the jump on the social media, now they're ahead of them. The TV ones are trying to catch up on the socials. That's the way that I'm seeing it, because you're seeing like this flop where like now social media and YouTube and shit is kind of taking over TV.
Absolutely. I think it was, just like the rest of them. You had the print, the radio, the TV, and and now you got people dancing on TikTok.
And you're right. You're right, because obviously we have to follow analytics for this, and you could see it's basically like 45 and older loves Facebook, 25 to 40 loves Instagram, and then 18 to 25 likes TikTok. That's the newest thing. And then everyone loves YouTube. That's just like a thing everyone loves.
And the nice thing about YouTube too is that object permanence, where the video's up, it's up.
It's up, it stays forever. Even after all three of us are long dead, this episode will probably still be here on YouTube till the world ends. So I
think a big thing too is not just looking at the age demographics, but the conversions. Because one thing I've noticed is for me at least, I get those older people on Facebook, but that's where a lot more people will actually have a conversation with you instead of just clicking to the next one. I feel like as we were going down that, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, what have you, you also see people's patience and, how long they're going to actually look at something go down. It went from people watching a few minute video to, 3 seconds is a playthrough, because after that I've lost interest. And, you really, if you want to get your message across, if you want to be heard, you can't do it in 3 seconds. There's a lot of stories to tell that are going to take an hour.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you hit it right on the head with that. You ain't wrong.
Now, we're probably a couple of weeks from having alien drones take over the entire country.
It's happening right now. Like, it's going on right now.
So I actually have my drone pilot license. I got it because I'm a fisherman and I make rods. And, if you want to do anything, you kind of have to do it yourself, because you try to get somebody to take a video of you, and it becomes pretty hard. I'm sure you guys know that, with trying to find people to help work a camera and work the stuff. Yeah. It's and I'm sure you got a great crew now, but I'm sure early on it was quite a grind finding people to just kind of help with it. And
it still is.
We asked Max to take a little video of like the prizes won at the party. Half the videos is just him filming his armpit or like trying to zoom in on his girlfriend.
Yeah, he got drunk. Yeah, if you want something done, yeah, you got to do it yourself. All right, Doug, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we'll stop bothering you for tonight.
After this, you can let him know.
What? Oh, you got one too?
Right there. But go ahead.
Okay, you build rods. Obviously, you don't sell reels, but you must know a lot about reels. A person comes to you and they say, Doug, I'm going to buy my first FishNFX rod custom. What's the perfect reel for it? Are you guys able to guide them in the direction of what's the perfect reel matchup for your rods?
Absolutely. And also with their preference, so if they were going for like a bass rod and say spinning, I would first off, what's their budget? What are they looking for? So for reels, and I'm not affiliated with any of these companies, so this is just my unbiased performance opinion.
That's the best opinions. Those are the ones we want.
I think Daiwa with the Tatula in the spinning, when they came out, just really rocked the market for their price range and what they were offering at that $180 mark, coming out with that mag oil and the more line retrieve, more drag, lighter weight, and coming in $100 cheaper than the Stratic. Big Shimano fan, but I feel like Daiwa really rocked the boat with that one. And then they started putting a lot of those same features into the Fuego. And the two of those are pretty good competitors for, I would say, a budget-driven high-end spinning reel. And I like the air bail too. I feel it's like a little stronger than those wire bails. But as far as bait casters, I am a big fan of the Metaniums. Or if you want to go down to like the Corrado to save a couple of bucks, those are really nice. I haven't used that new Cast King with the computer in it, but that thing seems pretty cool.
Cast King is coming out with so much stuff so fast, and it's like really cool stuff, and it's pretty cheap.
I think they've been doing well in a lot of areas, but I personally am a big Metanium fan. I feel like you get me a good line on one of my rods with a Metanium, and I can pretty much outcast anybody. Especially with those microwave the guides from American Tackle, the way those things tame the line coming off of reels, it's just insane. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but I have some videos out on Facebook and YouTube of just the line going through, and instead of them just going through the guide like this, they have that little one, and it just tames those lines harmonics, so it eliminates the friction through the rest of the guide train as well as through the air. Because you got to figure when those loops are going through the air, it's just that much more friction, and you're not just throwing the lure, you're throwing all the line behind it, and it's like a tail of a kite.
It makes sense.
You basically segued into my question and then basically answered it. But what I wasn't sure if Joe had ever seen those. I have one rod with those microwave guides on them, and I can vouch for it. It's so cool how, and like you said, go watch his videos. Anyone who hasn't seen a video of like slow motion, you have slow motion videos, Doug?
Yeah.
Of the line.
I was trying to show the guides themselves, but it's really hard because it keeps blurring it on me.
Yeah, it's because your sound is blurred. That's not your face. It's going to try to blur. But and people should go look it up on Doug's YouTube. Watch the slow motion video of the line. Have you seen it, Joe? The line going.
I have, yeah. I have.
Because on a regular rod, yeah, it gets smaller and smaller as it goes, but it's still making those big loops that come around. That microwave guide, like basically, like almost totally tames it, and the line just shoots straight through. You lose all that friction. And you know what else I noticed it does is if you start getting a wind knot, a lot of the times microwave guide will almost like reverse that wind knot. It'll kind of like when you go to cast, instead of getting the wind knot, it kind of pulls it out, and then you're good.
Why are the eyes on why are the eyes on spinning rods so humongous to begin with?
I think a lot of it comes down to the same idea, but differently. They're trying to, take it from a circle this big and reduce it. But if you were to just make it a small one, then it would tangle up and wouldn't feed through.
Yeah,
whereas by reducing it, you're reducing it slightly, so it's not catching and it's
Gotcha.
not going over the sides. It's funneling in.
Yes.
But with the way the microwave guide works is it's got the big one and then the little one right after it. So
it's almost
when
like
you
a
have
little
those
cone.
wavelengths, it's hitting two parts of that wavelength. So it's going from a big arc to hitting it and then hitting the next one and then just following through on a small one.
Yeah, so it's pretty revolutionary change to the fishing rod industry.
And the microwave name kind of makes sense when you think about like radio waves. If you want to communicate like long distances, you go on like a 6-meter band, and you can bounce it off the ionosphere and back down, and you can talk to Japan. But for but for like more information, like your cell phone, they use the smaller ones because every up and down is data. So by compressing it, you're just eliminating the size of it, and that's what you're doing. Is instead of those big loops, now you got those little ones coming through.
I mean, it makes sense as to why it would work.
I'm kind of surprised because they've been making those guides for a while now.
They won best in category in 2013 at ICAST.
So my point is, like, I'm kind of surprised I'm not seeing more spinning rods. Like there's not really any reason why a spinning rod wouldn't have that on it, other than to just reduce the cost.
Well, and I think a lot of it too is just partnerships that companies may have with other companies, and the fact that that's the way they've always done it, or how much was previously invested in marketing. If I were to name a rod, quite often somebody can name a guide company quickly and they go, oh, they use so and so's guides, and how many stickers were already handed out with that. What happens when you change that? All that marketing you already previously invested in, all those stickers you already put out there now are meaningless. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that the other company makes bad guides or anything like that. I use a lot of different materials and a lot of different rods that I build. You know what I mean? I'm not tied to any one in particular, but I do have a lot of respect for American Tackle and the stuff that they have come out with, and just really appreciate those guides for sure.
Yeah, they're cool.
Well, Doug, I got to thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and talk to us on the NJ Multi-Species podcast. If you're watching this, please go and check out Doug's pages, FishNFX.com, and fish.
Gift card to get a custom rod.
Yeah, my wife, get me a gift card for a rod, tog rod. Make a custom tog rod for me.
You just
said, and anybody who uses the code NJMSM will get 15% off.
Whoa! Hear that, babe? 15% off.
Say that again so nobody misses
it. So anyone who uses the code NJMSM will get 15% off of their rods.
NJMSM will get you 15% off a FishNFX rod. That's awesome. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Hopefully we'll have you back on here eventually, man. And thank you. Nice meeting you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And we're going to have to wet a line sometime.
Absolutely. I'm in for that.
No doubt. Yeah.
We'll make sure Jen is there. That way you can teach me how to fish.
Jen's always there. never. No one leaves home without Jen. Thank you so much, dude.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys. And thanks for having me.
Take it easy.
Take care.
All right, so that was Doug Roberts, FishNFX.com.
FishNFX.
Fish. I say FishNFX. I like to say FishNFX. That's how I say it. But
don't say FishNFX.
It's whatever. You get the point. So he just gave the discount code out. I forgot it already. So if you don't know it, go back and watch it. He just said it. But that's pretty awesome. 15% off, just in time for Christmas, on a custom rod.
If you can watch the episode.
Who?
You forgot who your wife is too?
No, you're breaking up a little bit.
I was gonna say before I'm pretty sure Jen said he just got a rod from him for tog fishing because I asked him.
I saw it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he got one. Yeah, he hasn't used it yet because every trip's been canceled since he got it. I think that rod's what's killing us.
Nah, dude, I've been having tog trips canceled in Cape May since last spring. I'm on like the 6th one. I don't know if I'm ever going to get to go, but I guess we'll see.
Well, we'll see if Wednesday happens. One more thing. Captain Jerry Pastrana, the fishmonger, was supposed to be at the Christmas party. He got held up fishing late and was unable to make it. So the vouchers never made it to the party for us to raffle off. But we are still going to raffle them off. If you were at the Christmas party, you're going to be on a wheel, and we're going to do a holiday special episode. We're not recording for the next 2 weeks, but we are doing a holiday special episode. And in that episode, we are going to spin a wheel with everyone that was at the party, and 2 people are going to win a pass to the Fishmonger.
Perfect.
So we won't be back next week exactly, but we will be back sometime between Christmas and New Year's, and 2 of you are going to win Fishmonger passes. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. And thank you, and good night.
Raffle for the fish.